Hello and welcome to Joy News Prime, live from our studio here in Accra. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, around the world on myjoyonline.com. Coming up this MPP minority takes its war against oral committee a notch higher, charging former MPP government appointees to disregard the mandate of the committee and refuse any invitation from its members.
He's a former government official, and we're invited by this so-called aura. Our advice to you from the minority is to boycott any invitation from the aura team.
We have details as the group describe Attorney General nominee Dr. Dominic Ayine as deeply embroiled in conflict of interest.
In any serious country, we believe the Attorney General designate would not have accepted the appointment.
Also coming up, National Peace Council cites the use of social media by factions to spread hate speech, which is fueling the Boko conflict as it lauds President Mahama for his commitment to ending the decade-old feud.
We have to find ways of containing hate language, hate speeches that are spread through the social media.
Plus, President Mahama's upcoming engagement with the Asantehene Otumfuo set to this weekend as he sends a strong signal as part of his ongoing mediation effort to secure lasting peace in Boko.
Nanado gave me a hint that Otumfuo has been playing some role. And so I'm supposed to be with Otumfuo on the 19th of this month.
We'll also hear from a former defense minister as he asks government to do whatever it takes to gain the trust of the various factions in the conflict, adding that military deployment alone is not enough.
Keeping peace in Boko, I can say it goes beyond just the deployment of security or the deployment of equipment as well as the present security sources.
The opposition MPP group in Parliament are taking the war against the Operation Recover or Loot Committee a notch higher as they charge appointees of erstwhile Akufo-Addo administration to disregard the mandate of the committee. The MPP minority have described the oral committee chaired by Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa as unconstitutional and without any legal basis at all. Addressing journalists in Parliament, MP for Swami John Ndakon, who spoke on behalf of the minority, asked former government officials to totally disregard any invitations from the committee.
The Attorney General designate is a law professor. When approved, he is going to be the chief enforcer of our laws. When he appeared before the committee and was asked about the legality of this aura, he justified it. He justified the unconstitutional establishment and putting together of people who go about harassing former government officials. We believe that the establishment of that aura committee violates and flies in the face of our constitution. And so one would have expected that a law professor in the person of Dr. Ayine would have condemned it. But rather, he justified it. Now his justification is now putting the work of the police CID, IOCO, and special prosecutor, and constitutionally established bodies out of business. It is concerning, and we want the people of Ghana to know that no serious country will entertain anything such as this. And so if you are a former government official and you're invited by this so-called aura, our advice to you from the minority is to boycott any invitation from the aura team. We are not going to be part of it because we believe that there are constitutionally established bodies that can investigate any so-called misdeeds of the government. What are they doing? What they are doing is to go about disturbing people, entering homes, taking vehicles, seizing vehicles, and more or less taking over lands from people who have genuinely purchased land.
Well, you will recall that at the vetting of Dr. Dominic Ayine as the AG nominee, the MPP insisted that the oral committee has no lawful basis, but the nominee disagreed. Supported by Mahama Yarga, the two NDC MPs cited constitutional provisions to back their position that the oral committee is grounded in law.
There is nothing about oral in in Act 30. Now, the question whether oral is legal has been raised, by various people within the media, right? Oral is the Operation Recover All Loot. If you look at the preamble to the Constitution, it is very, very clear about what are the fundamental values underpinning the Constitution. The value of accountability is one of the preambular commitments in our Constitution. It's a primary value. Oral is supposed to exact accountability from persons either politically exposed or persons holding public office who used or misused their office to loot public resources by way of property, money, and other intangible resources. So oral is constitutional. Oral is legal. In fact, the fact that it is a non-legal body doesn't mean that it is illegal. There's a distinction between non-legality and illegality.
So if somebody forms a committee to elicit information about instances of looting of public property and waste and resources, is it not to provide an avenue for compliance with this constitutional provision? Is that not what it is?
No, we are.
And how different is this campaign from the campaign that took place recently? See something, say something. If you see looting, say it. If you see stealing, say it.
Well, let's still stay on the MPP minorities press conference earlier today, and the caucus has been alleging that Attorney General and Minister for Justice designate Dr. Dominic Ayine is deeply embroiled in a case of conflict of interest. At his vetting, Dr. Ayine admitted that some companies he represented as a lawyer in the past have commenced arbitration proceedings against Ghana, but insisted as the AG he will always put the interests of the state above any consideration and that he is not conflicted in any way. But the MPP minority disagrees. According to Tano North MP, Dr. Gideon Boako, who spoke on behalf of the minority, Dr. Ayine should not have accepted the appointment.
In the case of the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, the Honorable Dr. Dominic Ayine, it is clear he finds himself in a conflict of interest position. His law firm and he personally are representing companies that have filed arbitration claims in excess of over 500 million United States dollars. Can Ghanaians go to sleep believing that their money will be safe and that it will not be stolen through payment of dubious judgment debts, as we saw in the case of Wodiome? Ladies and gentlemen of the media, watch the space for GP, GC, and Cassius mining arbitration claims against the government of Ghana. In any serious country, we believe the Attorney General designate would not have accepted the appointment. Mr. Attorney General designate, why the public tribunal? What is our High Court not doing right, necessitating the creation of the public tribunal?
Well, the minority in Parliament have also criticized Dr. K. Salatofosun, the finance minister designate, for what they describe as an evasive and inconsistent performance during his vetting. Tana North MP Dr. Gideon Buako expressed disappointment in Dr. Fosun's responses to critical issues raised by his side.
The Honorable Dr. Kesian Atuba Fosun, who appeared as the finance minister designate, was evasive, inconsistent, and lacked clarity of thought. Having served as a deputy minister of finance and a ranking member of the finance committee, one would have expected his answers to be forthright and to exude concrete solutions. We acknowledge the minister designate's definitive commitment to scrap the betting tax, e-levy, COVID levy, and emission tax. While this act is commendable, it raises concerns that the minister failed to address. First, we would like to know how the minister designate plans to make up for the revenue shortfalls that will arise as a result of the tax cuts. The minister's quick response was cuts in expenditure. While we believe expenditure cuts could be a possible way to match revenue with expenses in order not to run into fiscal deficits, it is not in itself the ultimate solution to address revenue shortfalls. Would the minister designates expenditure cuts affect teacher trainee allowances, nursing trainee allowances, free senior high school, the livelihood empowerment against poverty, subsidy on fertilizer for farmers? Will they affect the school feeding program? Will they affect salaries of government workers? The minister designates unconvincing responses regarding how he intends to make up for the revenue shortfalls leave us with no choice but to think that he will scrap these taxes but introduce new ones, perhaps more draconian than those he would scrap. We cannot give with his right hand and take back with his left hand.
Well, the minority in Parliament also took on chairman of the Appointments Committee, Bernard Ahiafo, who they accuse of gross partisanship. Dr. Gideon Buako again.
He denied the Ghanaian people and the minority members of the committee the opportunity to conduct a thorough vetting of the nominees. He was protective of the nominees and extremely partisan. Members of the committee were shouted at by the chairman. You all witnessed how the member for Etiwa East, the Honorable Abuna Osei Asari, was shouted at in an attempt to protect the nominees. The chairman denied legitimate members of the committee the opportunity to ask relevant questions and railroaded the nominees through the process.
Now let's go to Boko, where the President, John Dramani Mahama, spent his day yesterday and will spend a lot more time following his determination to halt the age-old conflict there. You know by now that the President spent the whole of yesterday in the area meeting leaders, stakeholders, and feuding factions in the conflict. Today, he made public his intention to engage the Asantene on the matter. Note that this will not be the first time the Asantene has been involved in the matter. We'll drill down deeper into that shortly, but here's a quick recap of events yesterday and reactions.
For decades, the Boko conflict has become one of the major security challenges for successive governments. President John Dramani Mahama, on his first visit to the area on Tuesday, after getting a renewed second term in office, has affirmed his vow in an interaction with the people to end the crisis.
During the campaign, I stated that if God granted our desire and I was elected president, bringing peace to Boko was going to be one of my #1 priorities. And so I decided to come and assure you that we're going to work very hard to make sure that we bring peace back to Boko.
But how does John Mahama intend getting it right this time around?
We will do the appointments of the Minister of Defense, the Minister of Interior, the National Security Advisor, the National Security Coordinator, the BNI Director, and all the others. And when these appointments are made, I'm going to charge them to make Boko one of the #1 priorities that they attend and deal with.
Security expert Dr. Vladimir Nchudanso and Dr. Victor Doke believe President Mahama's move to prioritize the matter is laudable, as they urge him to also activate the Boku Naire Peace Committee once again to facilitate the process.
Prioritizing security and linking it up with our democracy is very, very important. So this mission is very, very important.
Immediately he appoints those security heads, the Minister for Chieftaincy. They should ensure through the National Peace Council that the Boku Naire Peace Committee is revived again.
Hopes are high now for John Mahama to find a permanent solution to the Boku crisis. James Savage's report for Joy News.
Well, we've been hearing from the National Peace Council, which has also been lauding the President's commitment and timely intervention in this particular matter. The Council also cautions against the use of social media to spread hate speech. George Amo is the Executive Secretary of the National Peace Council. He spoke to Blessed Soga on PM Express.
The people who speak on the matter might be carefully evaluated. And, my brother Soga, you see, the media has also played some role in what is happening in Boko today. And I would want His Excellency to also look at that side. You see, the things that are said in the social media platforms, I think 2 days ago, somebody sent a copy to me. You see, we have to find ways of containing hate language, hate speeches that are spread through the social media and even through some of the traditional media platforms.
Is that becoming a common trend where the feuding factions are now resorting to social media?
Yes, they do. They do, and as latest as I think 2 days ago, like I've said, I received a post, and I mean, the content is not good. So we have to do all that we can, but the signal is very important. The president has begun very well. I think we have to keep the momentum, try to bring everybody on board. I can tell you the spoilers are there. There are, we will call them conflict, peace-building spoilers. They are there, and the conflict entrepreneurs. They are all waiting to see what will happen. So I think the president has started very well. He should keep to this, get ministers and chief executives who would prosecute the agenda in the strongest term that he can. And I am very confident that Boku will return to peaceful ways.
Well, speaking on the same show, the former Defense Minister Dominic Nitiwol urged the government to do whatever it takes to gain the trust of the various factions in the conflict.
When it comes to the security itself, we have a lot of security reinforcement in Boko area. So it's not about the numbers. It's not also about the equipment. In fact, for the armed forces in particular, I did make sure that we have a lot of equipment in Boko. And not just that we expanded the entire barracks in Boko. And the Honorable confirmed that. So security personnel, we have a lot in the area. But keeping peace in Boko, I can say, goes beyond just the deployment of security or the deployment of equipment as well as the present security sources. It depends. It's a lot will depend, and it's going to depend on the people themselves, the two factions. The first thing every government will have to ensure is that the two parties would have to give trust to you that you are an impartial arbiter and that you have no direct interest. If they suspect anything, you are going to face problems. And I think that issue came over and over and over again. The Honorable MP has been very helpful, especially during my time in trying to give me information, give me leads, and my colleagues to see how we can resolve the Boko matter, because nobody wants this issue. Even one life lost in Boko or any part of Ghana, it's not good. So the situation in Boko is that when it comes to the security services, yes, we have enough security services personnel there. We have equipment there. We have the logistics there. We've been spending on there, as you mentioned, the figures that are there. But we need to do more.
Former Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs Minister Stephen Asamoah Boateng has also cautioned against the appointment of people who are involved in this conflict into ministerial positions in that side of the country. He's advising John Mahama to desist from appointing anybody from the feuding factions to be the regional minister for Upper East Region. He has also been detailing what the previous government did to resolve the crisis so far.
Basically, they were underexposed. And so, me being a politician as well, but they must take ourselves and give it back to the chiefs. And so we then handed over the responsibility of finding the peace led by Otumfo, the Asantehene, Otumfo to the second. First of all, don't appoint a native of the Boko or the Kusak to be the regional minister. That's number one. Don't do it. It's emotional subject. And the native always, if you are not careful, have some emotions with it. I almost succeeded. Unfortunately, somehow Abagri found himself in Boko, and that erupted before we left office.
Now, it does appear that the current government may take off from where the government ended. President John Dramani Mahama is set to visit the Asantehene. Otumfo said to the second this weekend, possibly to involve him in the peace talks. Listen to President Mahama.
I just came to appeal to him to exercise restraint and patience, and his subjects to exercise restraint and patience, and trust that we'll resolve this matter amicably.
Na nedo sugu wanchana ma uchana no susi epa hansuguru epunya suguru dana ni epa hansuguru kayari eda damaza tensema na dema na chima iyan sokanza ne ba pa hansuguru suguru yi chanala enyala banyangan pia boko mo to amana ka amali zugu uchana no suhla suhdwama eto ante sokamza ka karbeni ka sokanza na disuguru kunya suru nyangan pia to amani.
I'm in the process of forming my government, so I'm just appealing to my father that they should exercise patience while I set up the government.
Na zugu ngonna binyangan yiso ba yasungu tumama okuchana no suseni kimalla habari muziki biya suhdu amani dama karanya alkauli na nan yiko kunyanga yisu ministers maza baniya sungu kunyanga tumtumama kasudu achana.
And so as soon as that is done, we might have to invite my father, but I cannot sit in Accra and invite him. I have to come and alert him in advance that an invitation like that will come. In my last briefing with Nana Akufo-Addo before he left office, he briefed me about some mediation efforts that they were undertaking. I wish to be able to discuss it with him and see how we can continue that effort.
Now, one day, do I, President Nana Akufo-Addo, to government Kuruso one Zantuma, one day di Boko Azama, ko yellow one pumpy shame, the Zogo one yellow shame, Kabelo Hankalene, nine yiko. Ko jene onumbole ke ichana uzanga la azamandi Kenya yenga wula kasudwacha boko na ni sulen samaza.
I know that he and the late Yegbonra and Otumfo were the ones who solved the Dagon problem.
Na ne ejiko ni zanchantabele Yagbonra zantabele Asantehene nyininda doanzane yabatama yanda doanzane kasudwacha Dagwanguna.
Nanado gave me a hint that Otumfo has been playing some role.
President Nana Akufo-Addo datu lahbare no Otumfo pumpilen tumanla atuma.
And so I'm supposed to be with Otumfo on the 19th of this month.
Dezugo onengeshiri no sumi ngorpa lwa da piana we onenchanya Asantehene mungba ngomenya ugba won daman pala wula.
So when I go, it's one of the issues I'll discuss with him. And whatever.
Now, a year ago, the Asante Neo Forset II outlined his intervention in the conflict when the former Chieftaincy Minister asked for his intervention. Watch this.
Boko eguso afenia busa inu omodi afena me be share yin na ye de abotre no nokre de ha obia obi e kan obia be kan asem ne ati.
I am still on the Boko issue. I have called all factions separately, in peace and in truth. We will sit and listen to the issues. Both factions will be allowed to speak out, so we solve the issues. Already, I have spoken to the leaders of the factions and other relevant persons. Some have submitted documents to be studied, so we will look into all of that. We will all sit in one room and solve the issues. I have asked them to lay down their weapons.
Well, it's now time for us to go take you to the grounds. Then Upper East Regional Correspondent Albert Sorry joins us on the line with more. Albert, the president was in town the whole of yesterday to initiate talks towards lasting peace. What has been the talk in town since that particular visit?
Right. So one of the major things you hear people talking about is how swiftly the president is acting as far as trying to resolve the Boko conflict is concerned. I mean, he's been in office after the swearing in just barely 1 week, and he has traveled up here to meet with the chiefs and people and to begin the processes to, see how the conflict can probably be resolved once and for all. And so for many people, this is a sign of the commitment that the president is exhibiting as far as bringing lasting peace to Boko is concerned.
Now, the president went to two areas, Boko and Naleregu. Generally, what was the reception first in Boko and also in Naleregu?
So for many of the people who, are in these areas, it was an opportunity for them to see the president. You get people having the feeling that they are lucky to have the president visit just barely 1 week after being sworn into office. So for the residents and the citizens in this area, they came out, to cheer him. Obviously, party supporters also came out in their numbers. And then you had the chiefs and their elders, in Boko in particular. They were already seated long before the president arrived. And so it is something that, people were eagerly anticipating. And also you get the sense that their hope in terms of getting the conflict in Boko resolved has been renewed. They have some renewed hope that hopefully lasting peace can return to Boko once again. So, this was the atmosphere when the president visited.
Well, various experts and former appointees of the previous government have all cautioned against the appointment of members of the factions as a regional minister. What are we learning about Akamugri Donatus Atanga, apart from him being a party executive?
So, Donatus Akamugri has been a politician for a very long time. From what I understand, he has been the regional secretary of the NDC since 1998. And so he has a lot of experience in terms of the political terrain in the region. He's also, from the Bongo district. That is where he hails from. And so many people are likely to see him as a neutral party as far as this conflict is concerned. Because in the previous administration, for instance, we had Stephen Yakubu, who although was from the Binduri district, is also, the Binduri district is an area where Kusasi people are dominant. And so no matter how Stephen Yakubu tried to act as a neutral party, it didn't seem to be working all the time because the other faction sometimes felt that he was not doing things in their favor. Okay. And sometimes even his own people accused him of not, being fair to them. But in the case of Akamugri, who is from Bongo, where the people there are predominantly Frafra people, there is going to be some sort of difference. But at the end of the day, it depends on how he's going to handle issues, especially anytime attacks occur, how swiftly they move in, whether people get punished and all of that. And so although he's likely to be seen as a neutral party, it is his work that is going to, tell. Okay. For him at the end of the day.
Well, so since his appointment, since the announcement, what has been the reaction of the people to this appointment?
For many of the party people who have taken to social media, and some of whom I have spoken to, they feel that his appointment is long overdue. Okay. But as far as the people of Boku are concerned, they believe that he is capable of doing the work. But of course, we have seen instances where governments come in, ministers are appointed, MCs are appointed, and people of Boku have the hope that they will do the work the way they expect, and it didn't turn out like that. So although they have some belief in the capabilities of Donato Sakamugri, they are also waiting to see him start work before they fully judge, his capabilities.
All right, so that's my colleague, Albert Sari, joining us from the Upper East region, Upper West region, Upper East region rather. This is Johnny's Prime. We'll take a break. I'll be back with more. Please do stay. Now, let's take you to the Western region because fishermen are complaining of a certain strange fish disease that is emerging in Cambodia, a Muslim community in the Lembele district of the Western region, raising public health concerns. Fishermen are paralyzed by fear and uncertainty as they allege a certain mysterious disease is ravaging their catches, rendering the fish unfit for consumption. Amidst this dire situation, the desperate fishermen are issuing an urgent appeal to investigate the sources of the disease and find a swift and lasting solution to restore their livelihoods. Join us, Western Regional Correspondent Nathalia Kwanzaa has details.
A disturbing trend has emerged in Kangbunli's fishing community, where fishermen have reported alarming changes in their recent river catches. Over the past few months, fish have developed severe skin infections characterized by red, swollen lesions that quickly escalate into gaping wounds, rendering them unsellable and unfit for consumption. This crisis has inflicted significant economic hardship on the fishing community, prompting urgent calls for investigation and action. To gather first-hand information and corroborate the fishermen's earlier complaint, the news team embarked on a fishing expedition with the Kangbunli fishermen on the Ebi River. Unlike sea fishing, where nets are cast into the ocean, these river fishermen employ a unique method, setting wire mesh traps at strategic points to catch a variety of fish species. Dauda Amadu Nda and Ayuba are fishermen.
Afa se wa mantini ye komu ana ye bechino ne hu se anam no ho aye kuru sa tempo yama yina ye jai ye bompe infama ne ti jai e hwe de befo be ye afa hwama ye no to ban sa no ma ahoche bebira ba wo committee mu na ye adwuma wo mu no ahoche kan pa 26 ya wa mantini ye sika nto bibia nhwe ne mamu ge ma ahoche kan pa.
Concerned about the potential health implications of these findings, we consulted with Dr. Augustine Amwakon, the Elembela District Health Director, to gain a deeper understanding of the situation and its possible consequences for the community.
Yes, there's likely to be health implication. We cannot be emphatic now because we don't know the exact cause. So when the team come and they take sample of the fish, sample of the water, and we test, then we'll know what is actually causing it, be it a chemical or whatever is causing it. So for now, we can predict that there will be health consequences. Just that we can't tell exactly what because we don't know which chemical in the water is causing that.
Meanwhile, the traditional authorities have imposed a temporary ban on all fishing activities in Fia, Ebi, and Amanzule rivers.
We also summoned them, the fish folks. So they were advised to keep off from the river, to work on the river, because now they don't know actually what the cause is. So we will report to the appropriate porters. When they investigate and see what is happening, then they can advise accordingly. So for now, we have seized them. They don't go to the river.
Shaibu Abdullah Isaka remains gripped by fear, revealing that he purchased some of the affected fish in the past. Now, he is faced with a dilemma. The fish are unusable.
As a result of this emergency, anybody who has bought some already and then kept for home consumption is in a dilemma. And because of that, you need to keep it. So a lot of people are keeping theirs in their freezers. As I speak to you, I bought mine about 2 weeks ago.
Fishmongers who share their concerns with us lamented their frustrations and losses due to the contaminated fish. They urgently call on stakeholders to expedite their investigation, seeking a swift resolution to restore their livelihoods.
Oh, I have because omonko as omonko nti menya adwuma bia anye
sesia mama ye ho akire se enam no omo de ba yentumi ndi yentumi nya ho hwe nti sesia ho akire pa
nti omommo modan amaye mpesempese mu maye se di amubaye na yensa akwaya no se yare o se di yen na mommo modan waye.
Investigation into the mysterious fish disease remains stalled as the Western Regional Fisheries Commission has yet to collect samples of the affected fish and river water. Consequently, the Kambunli community and neighboring areas will continue to face uncertainty and fear until the cause of the disease is determined.
We are chasing or keeping tabs on this particular development, and we'll be bringing you latest development on it in our subsequent bulletins. But away from that, Ghana has recorded some 4,655 incidents between January and September 2024, raising serious concerns about public safety. The recurrent market fires have left countless individuals devastated, not only grappling with the loss of their livelihood, but also enduring profound psychological impact. In the following report, my colleague Jennifer August delves into the enduring trauma faced by victims of these fires.
On January 2, 2025, a fire at Kantamanto Market destroyed properties and livelihoods. It is one of many fires ravaging major markets nationwide. The Ghana National Fire Service put the total fire disaster recorded between January and September 2024 at 4,650. But beyond the numbers and the devastations lie deep emotional tales.
At the sight of the fire destroying my items, I had to be sprinkled with water before I could get back on my feet. I am a single parent who goes to work every day before my children can eat. It hasn't been easy for me. I get scared whenever I remember the situation. What has happened to us is difficult. I am suffering. I just walk about whenever I get here. Every dawn, I get worried because I have nowhere to go. Truly, we had a lot of bills in our shops. People collapsed, with some still in the hospital. Recently, another person also collapsed. A guy who helps us also died from the fire.
And then 3 days, I na bakuchashe your boy back one was swaying my container boy, wada or tip or piano in a janisiano where.
Experiencing a fire, especially with livelihood loss, can deeply impact mental health. Recovery is long and challenging for those who lose everything. Dr. Abigail Na Ayele Harden, a psychiatrist at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, sheds light on the psychological toll of Ghana's market fires.
The most common thing that happens in the early stages after you've experienced such a traumatic event are things like anxiety, feeling worried, having lack of sleep, feeling troubled and feeling overwhelmed. There's also a sense of hopelessness because you've lost everything.
Mental health professionals warn that the psychological effect of traumatic events often linger long after the crisis ends, underscoring the importance of seeking support.
Initially, in the early stages, rely on your loved ones, seek support from your family, from your friends. Thereafter, we'd also encourage you to seek help from a mental health professional. They are always available as psychiatrists and psychologists to offer help. Even if you do develop a disorder down the line, there are medications that are available to help you to be able to manage these and treat these conditions. What I would advise is that they take one day at a time. It's a major loss they've experienced.
The unspoken bit of fire is the human story, one of courage, hope, and resilience. Jennifer August report, read to you.
This is still Johnny Smile. We'll take a break here. We'll be back with Showbiz. Please do stay.